Welcome back, everyone. After that short break, we are now getting ready for our first round of 16 solo matches. My name is Will, continuing with Peter here at the KDL Preseason 2.
Yeah, it's been really exciting to see the team matches today all go down to the ace matches.
Yeah.
We've talked about this earlier, Will, how in Preseason 2, so many matches are being taken to that ace match, and it is coming off the back of a lot of the amateur teams, which is really exciting. But now we're going to go another step higher in that mountain of excitement and see the solo match.
Yeah, so as you can see, we started with the round of 32 after the qualifiers before coming into the stadium here, and we're now already in the round of 16. Now in the round of 32, just to move things along, that was a single elimination stage, and the bottom 4 of each group were eliminated. However, now we have 2 groups of 8, and it is a double elimination format, so even if you don't make it into the winner's match, you still have another chance to redeem yourself in the loser's match.
Yeah, those extra chances matter a lot because you want to make it to that final 8, which is really hard to get to, but once you get there, you have a chance to be in that top 2 like Cool and NEAL did last time, and they were able to fight it off. It was Cool who became the champion of the solos in Preseason 1. This time, he's playing in their Group 1 today, round of 16 match number 1. There's SUNGBIN, HyunSu, World DDING, NEAL, Joker, Duzzi. All of these players we recognize as really good kart rider drifters.
Yeah, so here's the thing is that match 1, yes, we have 5 of those players who were in the final 8 of Preseason 1, so immediately just purely in drift, already the rankings are very high. However, match 2, you could see the names at the bottom of your screen on the previous image, is just as strong in terms of personal career highs. So it's going to be a crazy round of 16 no matter what. And now we're looking at each group's number 1 seed coming in from the round of 32.
Yeah, Cool. It's no surprise to see him there. Hero, SUNGBIN, and Looning. I do think that with these 3 players being in that rank 1 position coming out of round of 32 is a bit of a throw-off because they're not as, we could say, privileged and had a lot of wins in the solo matches compared to the likes of Cool.
Yeah, I mean, look, Cool has 19 points ahead of the second place in his own group in the round of 32. He was just dominating, continuing to showcase why he was the winner of Preseason 1 solos last time. Of course, it came down to the final 1v1 between himself and NEAL. And we can look at just how that played out, right? And Cool, the first thing you notice is he ended the fastest, right, in round 7 by continuing to get the first and second place on almost every single track.
Cool likes to race with his cool style, of course, finishing it off before anyone else. And Looning is a player that has been hyped in Preseason 1, hasn't been able to shine too much, but now here in Preseason 2, he is doing phenomenal here for the solo match.
Yeah, and we can take a look at the best records so far, and most of these being held by the racers that are left in the round of 16. A couple stand out, right? We're looking at HyunSu still holding the record for Ancient Aqueducts, Hong holding the record here for New York Rally, but most of the other ones are held by the racers that we'll see today and tomorrow here in the round of 16.
Yeah, it's definitely no surprise that the records are going to constantly get thrown off and the new one's going to form as we move on. That's kind of like the fun of looking at this chart so far. We're seeing a lot of players from mostly professional teams, and now let's see what difference we will see here in the round of 16 match number 1.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the pictures up on that screen. Today and tomorrow, the solo matches should be stacked. I mean, just overall, the round of 16, it's kind of crazy to think that we're still going to have to eliminate 8 more from here to get to the final 8. But Cool, just saying you need to become better. Not sure if he's just motivating himself or telling everyone else because he is the defending champion of the preseason so far here in Kart Rider Drift.
Yeah, you can see his records there are all clean. He's in first place or second place for his stats respectively coming out of his group. Cool being that defending champion of solo matches, looking to once again finish on a high.
And of course, his teammate SUNGBIN just saying, I want to have some fun, but of course, part of that fun would include going to the winner's match, because traditionally, at the end of the day, most of the racers that enter the final 8 have gone through the winner's match. Even if you don't go right away, you go back to the final match and you redeem yourself because you've had that lead.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a struggle to get up here for SUNGBIN despite being in first place. HyunSu
if I make it, I'll have to come every day next week, including the team matches. So, I mean, is that what you want? I mean, hopefully, it's still an advantage. Of course, HyunSu recovering from having a little bit of poor health last week, but it looks like he's looking a lot better on stage.
Yeah, and World saying, is this lineup for reals? Please go easy on me. And I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to that, given the amount of just high value names we have here. And so far for World, the problem has been for him in solo match consistency.
Yes.
He's been lacking it, so this time he's looking to stay up in that podium.
And next up, we have DDING, and just saying that I'm going to be Joker make a return. Why does Joker? Oh, he's going to rip Joker's little fan sign. That's cruel.
Oh
but
my.
DDING, I mean, listen, he's really trying to make a name for himself here in KDL, right? Trying to make a better career high, set a record every time here in the KDL. And next up, it's going to be NEAL, and he's been in Korea for a year now.
Yeah, speaking of career high, NEAL is absolutely one of the players that stand out, being a royal roader here in Korea. And we know NEAL for his NEAL builds that are more efficient in the lines, but in the craziest ways. But as of recent in the group of 32, he's been focusing more on survival.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a little bit of a different style there, and Joker just answering right back to DDING, saying, oh, okay. You've grown up a lot, all right? Just calm down a little bit. Of course, Joker kind of returning to the pro scene by joining Sensation, or the tournament scene, I should say. Of course, Sensation not under a pro banner just yet. Next up, with the orange stripes, we've got Duzzi coming out. And all right, you know what? I've got the energy of the orange. Now, all the colors, they kind of have their own little kind of favors or curses and myths that people, some of the players like to believe in. And so Duzzi just trying to take pride in the orange stripes.
Yep, it's Duzzi's first solo match participation here in the KDL, and he's also the only player without any previous kart rider league experience, so he's going to be the underdog of this group.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all eyes on Duzzi, quite frankly, because mostly just in the team matches of KDL so far, we've obviously highlighted his name quite a bit, but solo matches with this lineup, it's a totally different story. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be kicking things off on track number 1. We go to Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
Ladies and gentlemen, we begin our match number 1 of round of 16 as we see World in the lead right now with SUNGBIN and HyunSu.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, obviously, World, the biggest problem has been his consistency. When he's good, he's so good, but being able to constantly get the podium finishes, right, get the most points, has always been the trouble where he can't quite, get into that first seed, get into the final 8, get into the final 2, things like that in the past season.
Ooh, SUNGBIN going crazy right now, knocking out a lot of the players while maintaining his position. You can see he's recovering right there into first place.
Yeah, meanwhile, NEAL just kind of sitting back at the later part of the standings. Now HyunSu trying to maintain a podium finish right now, and DDING's right behind him alongside Duzzi.
Yeah, World has been pretty consistent so far in maintaining that first place. Now it's HyunSu really trying to contest that as well, as we see SUNGBIN. He's trying to go for the railing play, and he gets second place. No, first place off that.
Yeah, it works out well for him. Same for Duzzi as well. Duzzi had to greed for a little bit of that boost gauge, but it finishes well for him, and he's able to try to avoid the collisions, try to maintain it, but he gets
Duzzi
shoved right into the crates on the shortcut. That's going to push him all the way down to 8th place. Meanwhile, it's a race between SUNGBIN and HyunSu. NEAL trying to see if he can get overtake
SUNGBIN!
Wow, HyunSu gets checked right away. He will still finish in 3rd, but that gives that opening for NEAL to sneak right on into 2nd place.
SUNGBIN has been the most aggressive player so far in round number 1, and the way he makes it work, usually when you go for aggressive plays like these, the risk is that you could lose your own line, your own momentum, but SUNGBIN, he sacrifices none of that, comes in first while knocking down his opponents.
Yeah, I mean, HyunSu looked like he was going to make a good run for it, but at the end of the day, he gets bumped right into the corner on the last turn. NEAL will slide right on by. And here's the thing, cool, he only finished 6th place to begin with, so does he need a little bit of warm-up time today? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, NEAL, he's definitely a player that is pretty consistent when you look at him in the long run, so given that this is only round number 1, I'm sure he's not too concerned, unless SUNGBIN, off of getting to choose his track out of this win, he starts stacking up to 10 points.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. NEAL still just enjoying himself. NEAL seems to still want to take things a little safe. We'll have to wait and see if that continues. As we get ready for SUNGBIN's choice in round number 2, it is going to be Glacier Extreme Stadium. And of course, SUNGBIN will be choosing the track that he currently holds the record for, showing the confidence here on Glacier Extreme Stadium. You know, this is one of those tracks where, you know, in the beginning everything's going to be fairly clumped up, but after the initial first lap on those hairpins at the very end, we'll start to see a couple players try to break apart.
But the positive news here for Duzzi is that he's been able to maintain a top position pretty consistently thus far. But of course, it's now NEAL going for the tight inner lines that's giving him that first place.
Ooh, and I like that Duzzi didn't shy away from the fight there on that corner, right? Oftentimes what we see is a lot of players who aren't too used to the solo matches, you know, in the round of, or in a group of 8, you get a little scared of the physical battles, but Duzzi says, no, I'm not giving up this line, I'm not giving up this build. He's trying to contest for the podium. He's still trying to fight against World as well.
Yeah, Duzzi lost out on the line a bit, and Joker was able to block him out completely. Now Duzzi falling back into 5th place. It is a battle between NEAL and World as NEAL jumps out.
Yeah, NEAL just says goodbye, World, and goes right up into the sky as World continues in first place. NEAL's going to have to go for a lot of redemption. He simply just needs to catch up right now. Even getting out of 8th place looks a little tough. Meanwhile, the focus, as we keep an eye on NEAL on the right side of the screen, it still comes down to World versus Cool in 1st and 2nd place.
World being pretty consistent right now, being able to maintain that spot. But SUNGBIN is now going to come in and set World behind. Now it's between Cool and SUNGBIN to fight for that 1st place.
Oh my gosh, the 3 members of Guangdong Freaks all in the top 4 trying to vie for that next track selection. But Cool says track number 1, round number 1 was just a fluke. I'm back. Meanwhile, Joker trying to break into the podium finish. Okay, a little bit of a collision on that jump. That gives an absolute opportunity for World to shoot right back ahead.
Yeah, Cool falls out of his line. Now it's World looking to maintain,
Ding.
but it's Ding with the tighter lines here.
Oh, and SUNGBIN tries to bump Ding out, but Ding actually is going to get slowed down on the collisions, and that gives an opportunity for Cool, who was able to maintain the closest line to the corner off of the jump, redeeming himself right back in round 2, coming in 1st place.
Cool coming in just as we know him. This is a player that if you ever see him not coming in 1st place, you don't really need to worry because soon he will.
Yeah. I mean, Cool, obviously, he's not the type of player that plays like the flashiest or anything, but he just plays the most opportune kart rider drift, and he is able to come in 1st place. NEAL eventually not able to quite stabilize. He just maintains 0 points coming in 7th place. That puts him at the 7 points and keeps him in the top 4 for now.
Yeah, that's the pretty amazing thing for NEAL here. Despite that big slip up, you know, he was doing great until he hit that biggest collision we've ever seen so far. He's still in top 4, and we know NEAL's gonna strike back. He just needs to not do that again, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's a rough one. I mean, when something like that happens, you just got to dust it off and say, okay, it is what it is, right? We got to move on. But for now, we move on to round number 3. This is Cool's selection as he got 1st place in the previous track. It will be World Tour Rio de Janeiro.
Round 3 of round of 16 starts right here, right now in Cool's track of selection. It was Ding holding the best record so far. Let's see if he's able to break that record here.
Yeah, I mean, we can already see just this entire round of 16. Everyone respects each other so much to the point that everyone's trying to play so aggressive. We're seeing collisions every track early on as people are just vying to keep the lead. But for now, NEAL once again in the lead. Of course, just the one tracker. Can he maintain it this time without any crazy crashes?
It seems like it so far because NEAL has been really at it by guarding the tightest lines, making sure that no one else can take it. So now it's World taking the outer, but NEAL, he has the boost right there and he's still in 1st place.
Yeah, I mean, you can just tell NEAL, he's kind of playing it as if he would play Time Tower. Like, nothing crazy, no crazy build right now, but just going for the most opportune lines. And SUNGBIN and Ding trying to catch up. SUNGBIN's been doing very well today in contesting for those podium finishes.
Oh, but World comes in and blocks NEAL out. Now it's World and Ding in 1-2. Looking really good for them right now. We have SUNGBIN and Duzzi following up.
Yeah, SUNGBIN almost lost his momentum there, but World, he's continuing to try to prove that it's a different time this time in the round of 16. Ding, can he finally get his 1st time finish though? He will get 1st place, 10 points to his name, and he's trying to make sure that he can climb right back up in the standings.
Ding showing us why he holds the best track record here, and we have to wonder, did he set a new one? Regardless, he did cash in the 10 points for himself, which is going to be huge in propelling his position here. He previously had 6 points, so now he's going to be above NEAL in terms of placement. He's back in top 4.
Yeah, absolutely great finish here from Ding. A little bit of a rough start so far, but he's going to... Oh, okay, a new record again here for Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, Ding is looking super solid right now overall. Of course, we have SUNGBIN, who's coming in at 5th place, which is still good enough to maintain that 1st place overall. And 1, 2, 3, 4 has points so tight right now that it's only being separated by 3 points between place 1 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, today it might take a little while, right? There's no clear front runner so far. We'll see if maybe things start to change a little bit, but just purely the fact that everyone's kind of trading track choices already, I think that just goes to show that this is not an easy match here in the solos.
Yeah, we call it the group of death, and this group definitely defines that so far, because now we're moving into round number 4, which is picked by Ding himself. Let's see if Ding can be the first one to take 2 first-place finishes in Mine 3 shortcuts.
And we're off Ding's choice, but currently in terms of points, it's still SUNGBIN in the lead with 18.
And now we have HyunSu putting his name on the board. It's been a while since we've seen him. He's sitting at only 4 points right now, so he really wants to finish off in first here.
Yeah, now of course this is a 3-lapper, and you've got a couple of short. Ooh, World actually hits the wall, but NEAL helps him with the recovery a little bit on that collision. I think both players will be fine with how that ended up, though. Now Ding putting a lot of pressure onto HyunSu. This was Ding's choice, so Ding doesn't want to lose that momentum. He wants to get to select the next track once again. Yeah,
HyunSu is having a really healthy lead right now, along with Ding. NEAL really far away. It's like a 2v2 happening in the top 4 section. Cool also being in the flank, trying to get in the top 5. Duzzi, SUNGBIN, Joker, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, and I love what Cool did as we entered lap 2, right? He realizes there's no one around him, so he takes that as an advantage to continue his continued drifts to make sure he maintains that boost gauge, and he's able to find an opening to try to catch up.
Yeah, but so far, HyunSu has been winning that 1v1 against Ding, still maintaining that 1st place here as we see Cool and NEAL fighting it off in 3 and 4. This position is not changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing right now is HyunSu, right? He's still able to hold on to that number 1. Ding's putting a lot of pressure on, but like I mentioned, Cool, after that the beginning of lap 2, he's now able to kind of be ahead in boost gauge almost against the top 2 players. He's trying to find an opening, and he's putting on pressure against Ding. Now Ding has to worry about 2 players instead of 1.
You can see Cool taking the most aggressive turns each time to get the most perfect angle to now boost in to place. Now he is putting a lot of pressure on Ding and HyunSu here. Will he be able to take away the 1-2?
Oh, he enters on the side, but he bumps the wall, just barely not able to maintain the acceleration. And Ding will be our first player that finishes first 2 tracks in a row, getting yet another track selection for round 5.
That is so big for Ding there, because not only is he in top 4 now, he's gonna be the leading player given how close the points were previously. Now, HyunSu racking up some points for himself as well is going to put a lot of high contention in that top 4.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big one for me, right? HyunSu finally getting back into the running here, but we'll see if that's going to be enough because he's still a little ways behind. But good news for him is like players like World, right? They didn't actually get much points here this time around, so that was a bit of a rough one.
Yeah, we see Ding, Cool, SUNGBIN, and World in top 4 right now. NEAL not having the best day so far, sitting at 13 points, only 3 points away from entering that 4th place. But you have to keep in mind that it goes down all the way to the 7th place, that every single player is above 10 points. Anyone can still enter top 4.
Yeah, and just, you know, a couple of the other players cheering for Duzzi to get that winner's interview, try to stay in the lead. But Duzzi, he's still got a little ways to go if he wants to make that happen. Currently, it is going to be Ding selecting yet another track, and he's going to be taking us to our next round on World Tour New York Rally.
Off we go into round 5 of round of 16 match number 1. It's once again HyunSu in the lead.
Yeah, okay, Cool with a little bit of a different build here as he started on the side. Just goes for that deep cut in the very beginning to try to gain an advantage in the boost, and now he's in contention for a podium finish.
Yeah, and I like that thing. He went for the outer there, taking a completely different line. It has paid off for him, now maintaining that top 4 pretty healthily. However, World, he's getting contested by HyunSu right now.
Yeah, and Ding, he's really taking advantage of the draft timings that he's getting. He's now pushed all the way up to number 2. Meanwhile, my eyes on the standing, yep, it's on this player right here, NEAL. Can he continue to gain a couple extra points to get right back into a safe position in the point standings?
NEAL got a really nice boost there. Ding, he's going to hit the wall, and that's going to give the room to NEAL now, taking that 3rd place. NEAL trying to defy HyunSu from that first, but he's too far right now.
Yeah, but NEAL's putting on pressure once again. He's got the draft going from SUNGBIN, but SUNGBIN's got his own off of the front players, and now he overtakes first place for HyunSu. World trying to regain his position, but NEAL says no. He actually finds an opening in between all the players. He has to recover just a bit, but in time before they enter these railing sections.
NEAL with this decision-making is always on point in these clutch moments. He's right now holding on to first place. Joker looking for the inner, however, NEAL blocks him out excellently.
Yeah, and HyunSu tried as well, but it's going to be a little too tight. Loses a lot of speed. That actually gives an even better lead for NEAL. Players are getting knocked out from the corners left and right, but NEAL versus HyunSu. HyunSu has overtaken him. NEAL, can he get that final draft? He does. He's trying to find the angle. He gets the straightaway. And man, the mind games. HyunSu tries to block him off, but NEAL says, this time I'm just going straight, and we'll be able to finish first.
That is super huge right there for NEAL, because he's now going to have 23 points off that win, effectively propelling him into that top 4 now. And this is the clutch play that we expect to see out of NEAL. I feel like he's one of the best players here in KDL at the draft management as well as the timings.
Yeah, I mean, really the draft timings, right? Like you said, it's just crazy how he knows exactly the speed advantage that he's going to get off of those drafts. If he knows, is this a chance I have or not? And then he just acts on it right away with no hesitation. That really gives him that advantage in the mind games. So while Ding will be able to maintain the first place lead for now, NEAL's starting to catch up.
Yeah, and what's scary is that there's still such a fierce competition right now to be in that top 4, because 4th place is not building any big lead right now against the 5th place racers. It's currently looking to be about 2 points difference from the 4th place and the 6th place, and SUNGBIN is tied for 4th right now.
Yeah, I mean, had a strong start, but starting to struggle just a little bit in the last couple of tracks. Meanwhile, NEAL wants to take us to another difficult one. We go to Mine Winding Slopes. Here's a racer that we haven't talked about in a little bit. Joker, he's been pretty quiet. Can he redeem himself? HyunSu gets pushed right into the pillars off the start, and he is pretty much out of the picture as we just got started here on Winding Slopes.
That is really unfortunate for HyunSu, because he was tied for 4th place with SUNGBIN. The only thing he has going right now is that SUNGBIN is in 7th place. We see NEAL, he's trying to go for the 1st place here, but Cool will be his biggest opponent.
Yeah, NEAL's got a lot of players right behind him, so he wants to watch out. He's actually going to still play aggressive. And Joker is the one who actually pays the price of all those members being clumped up. Hits the pillar, gets knocked off the track. Meanwhile, Ding with an aggressive jump. However, NEAL still maintaining a better speed, so he's able to keep that 2nd place for now.
Yeah, NEAL had a beautiful inner line there. Once again, Ding losing out on the corner. It's NEAL trying to contest Cool now, but Cool is a bit too far away.
Yeah, Cool's just racing far, far ahead. There's not too many opportunities, but NEAL is getting in range of draft. You can see it's starting to blink a little bit. And as we start to enter these final hairpins, NEAL, if he can maintain the right angle, he should be able to find an opportunity.
NEAL with the spin turn.
Yeah, he's doing it to try to catch up. He's now has an opportunity for the draft. Can he get it in time, though? No, Cool's not going to give him the time of day, and Cool will be able to cross the finish line first. NEAL comes in 2nd.
Man, I like that execution of the spin turn from NEAL there, and usually when players are able to execute that to perfection, it does give them a sizable lead, but that's how far ahead Cool was. This guy, he's been taking the tightest lines throughout the whole race, not making any mistakes, and that's why he was our defending champion from solo match of Preseason 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Just cool, calm, and collected. Comes in 1st place. Sets a new record as well here on Winding Slopes.
Yeah, that's definitely a nice thing to have under his belt. He already has many trophies, but you would love to add another one there. As we take a look at the standings now, HyunSu is in 4th place, only 2 points ahead of World and SUNGBIN, while NEAL, he started to build that lead that he wants to make sure that he's in the top 4.
Yeah, the top 3 starting to look pretty safe, but of course, that 4th spot to try to get into the winner's match still looking like it's up for contention. And now we wait for Cool's next selection for round 7.
So far, it's only Cool and DDING that's been able to finalize in 1st place twice. And whichever player between the two gets their 3rd 1st place finish might be able to close off the race real soon as we get ready to enter round number 7 in Forest Zigzag Timberland. Off we go into Cool's choice of track, wanting to secure another 1st place finish here, but he is getting blocked out by DDING in the beginning phases.
Yeah, and Duzzi trying to finally get some podium finishes. He's only gotten one in 3rd place so far 2 tracks ago. Can he try to put his name back on the board? He isn't that far away from 4th place, so if he can get 1st place, get another track selection, that could be the start of Duzzi's comeback.
Yeah, both Cool and DDING are really far behind right now in SUNGBIN. He is struggling with consistency. He has been consistently in that bottom 4 in the beginning of the races as of recent. Now it's NEAL and Duzzi fighting for 1-2.
Yeah, NEAL, he's really starting to make a comeback after a rough start in the first couple of tracks. We'll see if that can continue. But Cool, he's somehow made a name for himself. Oh, Duzzi does get bumped off the railing a little bit, but we are still only in lap number 1. Of course, these hairpins, I mean, it's a choice between collision or do you make it safe? Oh, everyone's trying to just make sure they don't make way.
Yeah, NEAL tried to take the perfect line there, but he's going to pay the price for that. Not too much, though, because he's still in 2nd place. Not too far behind World. He's taking little collisions, but they don't matter because overall, NEAL's line is still really clean.
Yeah, but Duzzi put so much pressure that NEAL eventually hit that wall, so Duzzi took the risk of getting, or losing speed rather, and he actually makes an opening for himself to try to get back into podium finish, maybe even potentially first off this draft.
Yeah, World really trying to protect that right now by hugging the inners that other players are trying to take. Now it's NEAL trying to look for a way to pass Cool.
Yeah, and of course, HyunSu and SUNGBIN, 2 players who also desperately want some big point bonuses to try to make sure they can secure a 4th place spot to get into the winners matches. We've still got a couple more tracks to go, but you never know when it's going to end once you see players like Cool try to get into 1st place.
World has been holding on to that 1st place pretty firmly so far, but now Cool and NEAL putting a lot of pressure right now, and that may be enough for World to give up some of his line, but so far his blocks have been excellent.
Yeah, but NEAL, look at this. He sees the opening as World and Cool fight against each other. NEAL finds that opening. He weaves in between. He is a survivor of that collision so far, but World still holding on to 1st.
Yeah, Cool was the one who took the most damage out of those collisions. Now Duzzi comes in with the best line there. World with the recovery. This 1-2 fight is so intense.
Yeah, Duzzi had the draft, but he was a little too tight, so he loses speed as he comes out of the turn. Does he have one more chance? It doesn't look like it. World is going to be able to finish 1st, and meanwhile, Joker finally getting a podium finish for himself in 3rd.
My goodness, Joker definitely having a rough time today given how tightly packed this group is here in the match number 1 of round 16. And World picking up his 1st win of the day. It has to mean a lot for World because he was in 5th place and he's looking to get into that top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, he was one of those players that was tied for 5th, like you said. So this is going to matter a lot for him. Meanwhile, Cool falls all the way down to 6th place, and SUNGBIN still not able to escape kind of the 6th and 7th place here. And so he's been sitting at the 19 points once again.
Yes, and we're finally seeing that distance being made between 4th place and 5th place now. 7 points away is Duzzi from World. It looks like if World can maintain a consistent podium finish, he may be the one to take that 4th place spot.
Well, things are getting pretty interesting. We thought maybe we start to see things go towards the end, but it's stabilizing in the 30-point range. DDING still currently leading with the 37, but he hasn't really been able to get a big jump just yet. If he can just get that 1st place again, that would make him so safe to go into the winner's match. But ladies and gentlemen, we still have a couple more rounds to go. This time we are going to be going to Desert Construction Chaos. World's first choice here in the round of 16. He finally gets that first place. Brings us here to Desert Construction Chaos.
Yep, and we're seeing Cool and HyunSu fighting it off. It's been a while since we've seen HyunSu up here. He definitely needs some points now. First place would be pretty ideal for him, but Cool and SUNGBIN is here to say no.
Yeah, I mean, players like Cool right now, what they're trying to do is just finish things off, right? Get to the 50-point cross and just say it's over for the round of 16. I'm moving on to the winners matches. We'll see if he's going to still have that opportunity because there's still quite a few players that are giving him a run for his money.
And you have to keep in mind that World, he's up in that podium ranking right now. He absolutely wants to manage that because he's the one in the hot seat in 4th place, now actually coming into 1st.
Yeah, NEAL does have that draft, and he finds that opening on the corner right at the end of that acceleration. And now we go in through the 90 degrees, but NEAL actually found... Oh! He did find a good opportunity, but he barely cuts it a little too close, gets knocked all the way back down to 8th place.
Yeah, he was weaving through all the players masterfully, but it was the wall that he couldn't weave through, and now it's Cool and World fighting it off for 1st and 2nd. SUNGBIN is pretty far behind right now.
Yeah, SUNGBIN, I mean, it looked like he had a decent start, of course, finishing 1st place in our very first track, but afterwards, it's been all downhill. Meanwhile, World, if he can get 1st place as Cool continues to get podium finishes, World's going to really solidify himself in the top 4.
Yeah, now Joker coming up into the 3rd spot as well to make sure that his name is not forgotten, wanting to throw some ways into Cool, making sure that his line falls behind.
Yeah, and Ding, he's climbed way back in, once again into the podium. Ding currently leading with 37 points. He wants to be the one who can wrap things up with the 50. He wants to be at least ahead of Cool right now.
The World, he's absolutely maintaining 1st place for himself, which is going to be pretty huge. It's Joker trying to pressure him, but World is unfazed.
Yeah, meanwhile, NEAL still at the heel here in 8th place. Meanwhile, World and Joker, oh, Joker tries to put on the pressure, but pays for it as World just safely cruises on by. Joker gets knocked all the way back down to 5th place. Meanwhile, Cool finds an opportunity as Duzzi and Ding get into a battle. Cool actually trying to maintain a podium finish for himself. Ding makes a good jump.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
With the aggressive plays coming in, it seemed like Ding was going to make use of the aggression coming out of Cool, getting the better lines, but Cool is able to come in 2nd place at the end. He's able to do it all. Get his own lines, make everyone else falter in their lines, and that is why Cool is high up in their standings.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely sure the 1st place was World. He never lost it after, you know, a little bit of that first lap. But at the end of the day, it's Cool who still kind of takes the highlight on that track. And so Cool, getting quite a few points to his name, brings him right back up to 1st place, overtakes Ding by just 1 point. Meanwhile, I mean, SUNGBIN, he hasn't gotten a point increase in 3 tracks. In the last 3 tracks, he's sitting at 19. He's getting further and further away from the top 4.
Yeah, it's been unfortunate for him. And of course, HyunSu and Duzzi falling further behind from that top 4 contention. It's honestly looking like the players are wanting to end it off on our next track here in round 9.
Yeah, absolutely doable right now, both Ding and Cool. If they get 1st place, they will cross over that 50-point threshold, and it's going to be World's next selection. He loves the desert as he brings us on round 9 to Desert Ancient Aqueducts.
We start off for round 9 in World selection of track, looking to be the first 3 first-place finisher in this race.
Yeah, meanwhile, I mean, everyone else is trying to just climb right back into the top 4. They gotta hope that Ding and Cool don't get the 1st place, whether it's by your own hands or someone else's, because they just want 1 or 2 extra rounds to try to gain some more points.
Yeah, Duzzi right now, he's been having a pretty easy time up here in the 1st. Now, Ding is applying some pressure to him. SUNGBIN coming up as well, like a hyena, to make use of that, and he's able to take 1st place.
All right, SUNGBIN trying to get right back into the running. It is a little ways away, but same thing with Duzzi. He's sitting at 5th place with the 25 points, but they are 10 points away from 4th place in NEAL with 35.
Yeah, I mean, these racers don't want it to end on round 9 so far, it seems, especially if Duzzi and Ding Joker, they're able to maintain the names that we've seen usually in the bottom 4, now in top 4.
Yeah, I mean, Ding, he wants first place, of course. He wants to wrap things up here as we enter the second lap. Same thing with Cool. However, Duzzi says, I need you guys to not get first place. I got to maintain. Ooh, Joker just trying to maintain some speed, but there's a couple more turns there. Not able to recover in time.
Yeah, Duzzi having a phenomenal run right now. Of course, Cool. It feels like he's always in top 4, applying pressure to everyone around him, and now it's Ding who is behind him, and Ding just managed to now take the lead.
Yeah, meanwhile, HyunSu's another one of those players that's tied at with 25 points at 5th place. He wants to get up there with Duzzi. However, it's all for naught if Ding or Cool overpasses Duzzi to get first place.
Yeah, Cool looking for that right there, but he did collide into the wall. Now gives all the space opening to Ding and Duzzi. Ding looking to win the body checks, and he does.
Yeah, Ding positions himself so well from the out to in. However, he's not able to maintain his acceleration. Duzzi will survive, gets the recovery, and now Duzzi, can he survive in the last corners? It looks like he defends himself.
Cool.
But Cool, oh my god, barely not able to take over. And ladies and gentlemen, we still have at least one more round to go.
Yeah, that was the first place finish for Duzzi there, and it seems like Duzzi, he wants to come back. It might be too late for that, given that most of our players are now potentially one race away from ending it all, especially if they end in first place. But, you know, we can never say never.
Yeah, I mean, you never know who's going to start to falter just all the way down to the end, depending on track selection. But we do have Cool now 1 point away from the 50, so he can really finish anywhere in the top 5, and he should be able to, or top 6 rather, and wrap things up for us here in the round of 16.
Yeah, right now Duzzi actually 1 point away from NEAL for that 4th place, so it's going to be really important to keep our eyes on the position of World, NEAL, and Duzzi coming into round number 10.
All right, well, I mean, quite a few players can wrap things up. Duzzi, of course, the 10 points is going to help him a lot as he tries to catch right back up. Is it going to be enough? And also, what is going to be his next track selection? His first one here in the round of 16.
Yeah, I mean, he better pick something good because he needs to make sure that Cool does not get anywhere in top 6 as we get ready to enter round number 10, held in WKC Korea Circuit.
And we're off here on Korea Circuit. Now the big question is Duzzi, can he finish ahead of NEAL? Because then, even if the race ends, he should be able to overtake him into the top 4, go on to the winner's match, and push NEAL down to the loser's match.
Yeah, in fact, speaking of, Duzzi right now fighting for top 2 with HyunSu. Absolutely the position he wants to be in, but NEAL and World, they're not going to give in that easily. They're in top 4 now.
Yeah, it is curious to me that Duzzi, obviously we're kind of running out of track selections here in the first round to go, but he goes for one of those WKC tracks, right? A little bit of a wide track where you can just play your own race. You don't have to worry too much about physical scuffles. He just wants to race on his own time, and it looks like that's favoring him so far as he continues to maintain a podium spot.
Yeah, that's really paying off for him so far. HyunSu being that 2nd place is not going to really worry him too much. He just needs to make sure that he is staying ahead of NEAL and World.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, as long as Cool stays somewhere here in the front of the pack, the race is going to end after this track, but the question is, who gets into the top 4? NEAL currently at 8th place, so it's looking more and more likely that Duzzi should be able to keep ahead in points.
Yeah, he's keeping ahead, but World is also ahead of Ding right now. But as you said, Ding just needs to beat out NEAL, right, to get into the top 4. So basically, he needs to never allow NEAL to pass him.
Yeah, oh, NEAL's coming back over the Duzzi. He cannot sit in 8th place. He's going to get the draft timing to overtake a lot of the other players, but everyone's still so clumped up that the draft timings are where things are going to shine. And NEAL, if he finds one towards the end, he might be able to come right back in to the top 4.
Ooh, yeah, Duzzi is trying to take the tighter lines here to bypass the players. They haven't given him that room, but now he finds a way to get into top 3 contention, followed by World, and NEAL is all the way down in 7th.
Yeah, NEAL just wants to climb right back in. He doesn't want to let go. It's Duzzi versus NEAL. Duzzi currently 1 spot ahead of NEAL. While it does look like we might have a finish to the track, but my eyes are on the standing. Duzzi, does he come in before NEAL? He does. He's going to get 1 point and actually tie up with NEAL. Meanwhile, it does look like we might have a finish here. Yeah, Ding finished at second place. So the round of 16 match 1 does end, but what does the top 4 look like? I think we might have a tiebreaker coming up.
Oh man, a tiebreaker between NEAL and Duzzi. That is super exciting to me, especially the fact that Duzzi, the player that we highlighted as the underdog, is able to perform so well here is super huge to me.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, there you go. Tied for 36 points each. So Ding, Cool, and World will be moving on to the winners match. However, NEAL and Duzzi will have to play a tiebreaker, and HyunSu, SUNGBIN, and Joker will have to await their match in the losers match.
This is a completely different environment now. In solo matches, you've had 7 other players to worry about, but when it comes to the tiebreaker, it is just like an ace match where you are fighting for your own life. 1v1, and the pressure for Duzzi right now, you can see it on him, going against a player like NEAL, who's so well known for his solo plays.
Yeah, now here's the thing, is that while NEAL's been playing kind of safe and sound here for a lot of these 8-man races and solos, when it comes to 1v1s, we probably see a little bit of that aggression and creativity once again, right? This is where he shines. This is where he can play his own game, not have to worry about other players messing him up from behind or something like that. So I'm curious to see, you know, does he try to throw Duzzi off his own game, or does he just say, you know what, no, I'm confident in pure skill that I'm ahead of Duzzi. I'm not going to take any risks. That's the big question.
Both players look absolutely focused right now. Their eyes are unwavering, just stuck, glued to the PC screen. You can see them really trying to get a hold of their mental fortitude, because all is gonna be dependent on who wins this tiebreaker between NEAL and Duzzi in Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
And they're off as we have one spot left in the winners match in the round of 16 of solos. It's green versus orange, NEAL versus Duzzi.
The one thing you have to keep in mind about NEAL is that he's always great with timing his draft, so even when he's behind, it really doesn't mean much. Duzzi would need to build a much bigger lead.
Yeah, and one thing you'll notice is that NEAL, while he stays behind, he gets these drafts just to keep up, but he doesn't always use it right away to try to overtake. He doesn't take that risk. He knows he just has to take over in the right time once. You don't have to constantly compete for the entire track.
Yeah, you can see NEAL focusing mainly on the boost gauge management. Both players are pretty equal so far, and as you said, Will, NEAL is just staying behind Duzzi, but does take this opportunity to use that draft.
Yeah, he sees Duzzi bump into the wall a couple times, knows he's lost speed, and he says, well, this is the moment. I don't even have to wait for that final draft. However, now he needs to play defense against Duzzi a little bit. Oh, he tries to bump Duzzi into the wall. A little bit of aggression coming in, then uses the draft to try to take back over. However, Duzzi from the out to in. NEAL bounces him against the corner. What a block as NEAL enters the shortcut. And Duzzi, he's trying to recover. It's too tough. He has so much to do, and NEAL starts to cruise away as he gets 100 meters close to the finish line, and NEAL will safely cross it and secure the winner's match.
NEAL threw attacks after attacks at Duzzi. They weren't working, but when it mattered most, it connected and it completely executed Duzzi's line, and NEAL takes a win in a NEAL fashion.
Yeah, I mean, exactly like we said, right? He's always played it safe and sound when it comes to 8-mans, but when you go to that 1v1, you don't know what you're going to get. Meanwhile, you've got Ding with a little bit of a crying celebration here. But of course, Ding was able to wrap things up for us here in the round of 16 alongside Cool and World initially, and then NEAL will be able to close things out against Duzzi. And I mean, Duzzi tried his best, right? Even after NEAL takes him over the first time, Duzzi actually defended against the attack on the bridge jump. But NEAL, the way he positioned himself, what's crazy is that Duzzi, in theory, had the better line going into those 90-degree turns. However, NEAL just says, well, if I maintain my speed, you just get bumped out against the wall. And that's the crazy thing about NEAL, is that he's so good in both the mind games, the physical games, and of course, just the pure racing skill.
Exactly. Not only do you need the physical racing skills, it's also important that your decision-making is on point when your heart is racing in those clutch moments. And we've seen NEAL be right so many times on this decision-making so far, and that is exactly what bought him this spot in top 4 of round of 16 winners match.
Yeah, and of course, we have Ding and Cool who actually tie for 53 points. back at the WKC Korea circuit as well. So they are in first and second, World, and then NEAL. Now, the bottom 4 racers, as you see on your screen, they will still have one more shot in the losers match, but after that, it's elimination. So they have to win that and then go to the final match of the round of 16 to try to redeem themselves to go into the final 8 of solos here in Preseason 2.
Yeah, I feel like HyunSu and SUNGBIN and Joker, they were really struggling to put their name up on the board. Sometimes, yeah, they came up onto that podium during the race, but they weren't able to maintain it going all the way into the finish line. And you can't really blame these guys because this has been, after all, probably our toughest group in solo matches so far, and they still have another chance.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? SUNGBIN had such a strong start, and then from round 4 through 9, he never got above 6th place. So he wasn't really making any differences in points. Like you said, it's more about the consistency. Maybe not even getting first place, but constantly getting 3rd place, constantly getting the top 4 or something like that to maintain a point buildup is going to be important. But we'll have to talk about that as we continue the round of 16 later. For now, let's review how the matches went today here at the KDL Preseason 2. We kick things off with a team match between 2 amateur teams in Showtime and Potential.
Potential was able to take speed there in 3-1 in item. They did struggle a little bit, but of course an ace match. We did see Summer finally getting redemption on that ace match, picking up his first win of Preseason 2.
Yeah, and that was a long time coming, right? Always had these ace matches against some of the bigger players where Summer, the nerves get to him, the pressure gets to him, he's making some mistakes. He finally redeems himself. Not the cleanest race, but you could still see that the focus was there. He's starting to grow and really fulfill his role as that ace that Potential wants. And of course, the item matches, it didn't quite go their way, but we still saw some shining moments for Banana. Now, the next match we had today was Sensation versus Seraphic, and Sensation continued to show more promise here in Preseason 2.
Yep, Sensation looks clean as ever in speed against the amateur teams. Item, maybe they need to work on that a little bit, but who cares when you have Hojin being phenomenal at these ace matches.
Yeah, I mean, he's really starting to come back into form, and that's the crazy thing about this guy. He's played across so many years in metas, and he's still trying to vie for a spot in the top rankings. Now, after those team matches so far, of course, we have teams like Live Sandbox and Kwangdong Freaks who didn't play today maintain their 4-win streak alongside Seongnam Rocks with 3. But at the bottom, now we see Sensation trying to break away, get into the top 4, contest Aura, and Potential maybe saying, hey, we're not quite out of the picture just yet.
Yeah, exactly as you put it. The closest matchup is going to be between Sensation and Aura for sure, trying to get that 4th place spot. But Potential now being that kind of wild goose of the group. You don't know what's going to happen with them. What's their potential?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait to find out. Meanwhile, solo matches, we just had our first match of the round of 16. So you see Cool, World, DDING, and NEAL, not necessarily in that order, but they make it onto the winner's match. The other 4 will have to await the loser's match, and we still have another set of 8 players in the round of 16. They will be playing tomorrow, representing players like Looning, Jung, even Hojin coming as well, and of course, some insane team matches tomorrow.
Right, these matches will be held on Sunday on 6 p.m. KST, Seongnam Rocks versus Aura, and then Live Sandbox versus Kwangdong Freaks. That is a traditional rivalry matchup.
Yeah, I mean, basically the top 4 of the team so far, so don't miss it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for today here at the KDL Preseason 2. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
Take me downtown, we can see the lights. Yeah, say it out loud, say that I'm your type. Can I make you sure when living out?
I've been the hunted, I've been the wolf, I've been the secret